So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. In this episode, I'm going to share with you 15 reasons why the iPhone 13 mini is so worth it. So the first reason is the unique size and the premium spec that comes with it. In the iPhone 13 lineup, there's not a lot of small phones. This is really the only one here. And in 2022, to be able to do something like this with one thumb and just get into applications like it's nothing with one hand, this is just not something you experience that much on many other phone makers in 2022. The next reason is the improved battery life for the iPhone 13 mini. In my experience using this phone, I can get through a day with this phone when I adjust my use. Of course, I'm not going to be able to get the same type of battery life as I would get on a larger iPhone, but I'm still able to get much better than the iPhone 12 mini from last year, which was leaving me charging at around 7-8 o'clock at night. This one, I can at least make it my whole day if I adjust my use accordingly and not overuse the phone. Next up is the cameras are super amazing for this size and this comfortable feeling when you are taking photos with this thing. You can shoot really high crispy quality photos with one hand, and it just doesn't feel like any other iPhone. It feels like a mobile portable camera would feel, like the most smallest camera you can get in a phone. And I really enjoy that because, you know, when you are out shooting, you can just quickly take a photo really discreetly, really quickly, and just expect amazing results from this device. You do have 4K 60 on the rear. You have a pretty darn good front-facing camera as well that does do 4K 60 as well to match up with that rear camera. And of course, how could I forget the cinematic mode that does come on here? It allows you to blur the background and video on the front and the rear, and you can change the f-stops. This phone basically, I think, would even suit a lot of pro users if all they need is some of the, regular lenses. You can also do the different photographic styles, which is huge if you want to just get that type of look you want and share to social media. Rich contrast, you can do standard, and you don't want to edit your photos. You can just find the perfect match for yourself and be on your way. It's a nice setup here in the camera system. It's actually darn amazing for the size of this device. And this is the next reason right here, 5G. Why do I say that? And why is it so worth it with this? Because that ensures that this iPhone 13 mini right here is gonna go the long haul. I'm talking 4 or 5 years. So definitely 5G is super worth it. So the next reason this is so worth it is the brightness. So if I go over here and I brighten it up, you'll see that it's overexposed now. You can barely even see what's on the screen. And that's because this thing hits a ridiculous 800 nits of brightness. Now, some people say, you'll see people saying, oh, well, the other ones have 1,000, blah, blah, blah. But if you take a look at the competition, most, Android devices in this range don't really hit these type of levels of usable nits of brightness. So 800 nits is actually what the 11 Pro and the Pro Max had in terms of its max brightness, at least on the usable range. So it's actually quite good. And the 13 mini is easier to see in sunlight than the iPhone 12 mini. The sixth reason that this is super worth it is it's a special device. I actually am saddened by the fact that Apple is likely going to discontinue this line. Big phones have already taken over, so we probably will see this go away with the 14 series. So I don't expect to see a 14 mini, so get yours now. This is a unique phone. You're probably not going to see it much anymore. The next reason is that the iPhone 13 mini is so worth it because it solves the big phone problem. Here's a 13 Pro Max. And yeah, a lot of people get in the comments and say the 13 Pro Max is the best of the best from Apple. But you got to remember, a lot of people that watch tech videos, a lot of them, not saying all of them, I'm not generalizing here, I'm just saying a lot of them follow tech. They want the biggest, the baddest, the beastliest device, and they love tech. So they're always going to want the best of the best, and that's what this is. But you can see a lot of people are going to have to do this hand gymnastics, I like to call it, trying to reach things, and it just feels like you're going to drop your phone sometimes. Also, you'll have to implement or use at least Apple's reachability feature quite a bit more for this one right here by swiping your thumb down. Whereas with this one, take a look at this. You know that commercial they used to have with the iPhone 5 from here to here to here to here? Yeah, that applies here for this one as well, I think, for a lot of people. Not quite as well as the 4-inch phone because it is a 5.4-inch display, but I think you're not going to be doing a lot of hand gymnastics with this one. This one is very clean. It's just very easy to use with one hand, one thumb. It really reminds you of back in the day with the iPhone 5 and stuff like that. So pretty cool. My 8th reason is that this is the only iPhone that feels like it's fused the past with the modern. And why do I say that? Well, I've talked about it already in this video. It's got that iPhone SE, the original 2016 like feel because of the squared edges here, but also gives you the notch. It gives you the newer like iPhone experience with all the specs you would want. And Apple didn't make too many sacrifices for this phone, and that's why the price is a little bit higher than you might expect at $699. I think they might have actually sold more of these if they cut even one camera out, made it slightly less, you know, overall spec, and maybe put it at like $399 to $499. They probably would have sold even more of these. But because they did that, you have what is an ultra premium device that is also, like I say, it's fusing the old with the new, and that makes this again a pretty special and unique device. And for that reason, I really think this is a worth it proposition right here. Now, the next reason is that the Apple A15 Bionic chipset is actually an absolute monster of a chipset. Now, the iPhones of the past few years, you really can't tell that they're that much different when you do open up applications, as you've seen in my speed test, but this thing actually benchmarks similar to what you'll find in something like a MacBook Air or something like that in terms of the Geekbench scoring. Not quite up there with the Pro MacBooks, but having like MacBook level performance, at least on your phone, is pretty incredible. And that really gives it and ensures that you're gonna have a long performance life with this device. I'm pretty sure Apple's gonna keep this thing running and humming along for quite some time. So that's a very good reason and why this is still worth it. The 10th reason is the color choices. Now, I absolutely love this deep red on the iPhone 13 mini right here, and I'm so glad they went to this versus the iPhone 12's more coralish red. But you have the blue, you have the midnight, starlight, pink. I mean, there's multiple colors for this mini sized iPhone, and that gives you a lot of personal choice. So that's one of the reasons. The 11th reason is its one-handed nature. And I talked about this in the reachability section, but now I want to just kind of discuss, you know, what I mean by just this one-handed nature. You could be using something else with one hand and still operate the iPhone 13 mini. For example, if I'm holding some kind of product over here, something else in my hand, let's just pretend this is your wallet or whatever, you're going to get your card out or whatever. You can do two things at once with this phone, whereas other phones sometimes will be a two-handed, you know, screen experience. And some people are kind of used to that, but I gotta say, man, having this one-handed experience is really nice overall. It just really allows you to free up space and doesn't feel like you're juggling around this big, large thing, you know, all the time around with you. So that's a pretty nice touch as well. The next reason is Face ID, and you might be wondering, for a feature, Nick Bro, that's been out since iPhone 10, why are you putting that on the list? That's not even a big deal to me anymore. Well, it's because Apple is likely gonna go to a fingerprint sensor Touch ID on their future cheaper iPhones. I really feel like this is the way they're going to go. We'll have to see. I think it's actually a cheaper technology, and they've already implemented on iPad mini. They've already implemented on other iPads. So I think they might go that direction, and you'll have an iPhone 13 mini if you pick this up with the higher quality, or I wouldn't say the higher quality, but the more advanced Face ID, which is very useful when you aren't wearing a mask. It just works pretty much flawlessly, and it's very secure. So I think this is actually a good thing about the iPhone 13 mini. So this next reason is not really a hardware based reason for the iPhone 13 mini why you should pick it up. It's more something you just notice when you use it, and this phone kind of just makes you more productive. And why do I say that? Well, it's because you just don't want to consume as much content. Things are just smaller, and yes, you can raise the font size up, make things a little bigger, but you're just not working with a lot of screen real estate here. And so I find myself, you know, consuming way more content when I am using the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I'm just scrolling and scrolling and reading and reading. I'm like, where's the hours going, my guy? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, screen time's through the roof. With this one, I go into News app. I'm about to open up an article in here in consumer electronics, what we're talking about right now. And I'm like, look at how small. I'm not going to forget it. You know, I just put it down and I get back to doing something more important on a bigger screen or a computer. So this is a good complement to your work at home device like a tablet or a laptop. It just works great in that aspect, and it really reminds you of what a smartphone is, a mobile tool. This one really feels that way, whereas the other ones feel like they're trying to border the line of tablet and smartphone, which I think makes the iPhone mini really unique. And the next one is the weight. I mean, look how I can hold this thing with like 2 fingers. It's just nothing. This thing is 141 grams. That's about 4.97 ounces. it doesn't weigh anything. So it's super easy to manage all day. Your hand never cramps. And I know you guys out there on Instagram, on the YouTubes, on the Facebooks, on the TikToks, you're scrolling, you know your hand's cramping. Don't play with me, you large phone users. And I'm not trying to divide us up. I'm just saying I'm a large phone user myself. You know the cramp. You know what happens if you're on your phone too much. Now, the iPhone 13 mini fixes that problem, and you just basically have no hand fatigue whatsoever with this lightweight phone at 141 grams. And my final reason is starting at 128 gigs and the cheapest iPhone 13 you can buy in the version of the iPhone 13 mini. This phone is a pretty good storage buy. You can get 512 gigs for 1K. Now that sounds like a lot for a small phone, but when you consider what an iPhone Pro with that type of storage would have costed you in the past, it would have been ridiculously higher, like $500 higher. So this phone right here is actually a pretty good deal from Apple when it comes to the storage for the price. Not better than some phones that could take micro SD cards, but Apple's never done that. Overall, the high storage abilities is my final reason. This is a premium compact device that really has not much competition in the market space. And yeah, there are some compact Android phones, but they will not be updated as long as this. And really, not everyone has the preference for a large, gargantuan iPhone, but like 80% do, like totally a lot of people do. But some people in the niche crowd still will love this phone. And I know a lot of people are not even interested. They don't even turn an eye to this phone. You could just tell just by looking at the amount of videos you'll see on the 13 Pro Max versus the mini. It just blows away this device. But this is still worth it in my opinion for the right user. And it's something that's going away. So you better get on it before, you know, they discontinue it. I would actually get it this year before the September of the new iPhones, because then at least it'll feel very modern for quite a good large portion of this year. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, do me a favor, click the like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.